Alright gamers, today we've got a tale of sheer tone deafness and rife incompetence that I need to lay on you. This is beyond the normal scope of my coverage of Starfield, which for the record, I still enjoy and play the game, but I received some questions on where I stood on this grave error made by Bethesda, and it was time to weigh in. Welcome back to the channel, it's LtBuzzLitebeer, and I'm still here just shaking my head in disbelief. Of all the things that could be said to consumers, this is the horse Bethesda has chosen to back. I'm going to break it all down for you, along with some spicy thoughts on it all, of which I will do my best to keep this safe for work. In case you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are of course greatly appreciated. I will include a few chapters in case you want to return to a section or jump around. And yeah, let's get into this chaos. And so, there's no beating around the bush with this one. Bethesda, you done fucked it up, to quote Angry Joe. And the intranets are all lit up with this story. And of course, we're speaking about Bethesda Developers responding to the negative criticism that Starfield has garnered over on Steam. And just bear with me a moment, let's hit the pause button on this one for right now because I wanted to paint a bit of context for you before we get to the present. You see, developers, studios, publishers, community managers, you name it, they respond to player feedback all the time. This is nothing new. We've seen answers on social media, forums, and even via focus groups, or for instance, feedback groups via private Discord chat. Player to studio, hey, I think this change would be beneficial for the game. Developer response over on Twitter, we hear you and are looking into this issue. Again, this is completely normal. We've also seen what happens when a game launches and it's nowhere close to what it was said to be. No Man's Sky comes to mind, and many of you associate with the current and updated version of NMS, but that game at launch was a firestorm of controversy, lies, deceit, a completely broken product. Overall, it was really, really bad. I remember all the interviews that Sean Murray gave prior to the game launching. All those confirmations of what the game was promising to deliver, most of which, again, I'm just calling a spade here, were bold-face lies. And of course, the player base was livid, and rightfully so. But the thing you didn't see was Hello Games, the studio behind No Man's Sky, clapping back at disgruntled players. They knew exactly what they had done, and they sat mostly in silence and just took the abuse. But steadily and through determination, they've improved No Man's Sky piece by piece and were finally able to deliver on the vision they had promised the game would be, or at least most of it. And to be clear, what No Man's Sky has achieved is not the norm. It's actually quite the exception. Switching gears ever so slightly and leading up to launch, Starfield was fairly, or unfairly, depends on how you want to look at it, placed directly in the crosshairs of a console war the likes of which I can't remember ever seeing. It was this daily slog of Xbox good, PlayStation bad, or vice versa, and by the time the game actually launched, all hell was breaking loose. I remember seeing huge review bomb threats from posts claiming to have thousands of Metacritic logons that were all going to destroy the game. And remember, this was all before it had even launched into early access. Now, for the record, I personally like the game. Sure, it has faults, it has deficiencies, it has bugs and technical issues. It would not be in my Game of the Year discussion, all of which I have openly stated here on the channel, but it also has a ton of potential. We still haven't seen the DLC or Creation Club with the tools to create insane mods. We've seen this slow drip of patches and fixes, the last of which was the DLSS implementation, and within that fix were some big improvements to the game, albeit it should have been there at launch and took far too long to make it into the live game. And so, Starfield has received a ton of justified criticism. And I don't want to go through the list line item by line item, but let's just say that the general sentiment is that the magic with Starfield just isn't there. And the game kind of mirrors what Bethesda has seen as well. And to be clear, I love many previous Bethesda titles like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Skyrim, Doom, Prey, Dishonored, but Bethesda now isn't the can-do-no-wrong Bethesda that I remember from the past. It isn't that industry-leading hit machine that we saw back in 2008 with Fallout 3, back in 2011 with Skyrim, etc., up to Fallout 4 in 2015. Since then, they've delivered some real flops like various Wolfensteins, Redfall, Fallout 76, although now vastly improved, and up to the present, and for many, Starfield. You see, the criticisms are out there and valid, which now takes off the pause button and to the matter at hand. Because with just how polarizing Starfield is and has been, it has of course garnered a ton of attention. There are currently over 81,000 Steam reviews for the game, and it's still sitting at an overall rating of mixed, and it has been for a while. Now, some of these are the typical, the game sucks, non-helpful troll trash you'd expect, but a lot of these are well thought out, detailed critiques of the game, and these reviews raise 100% valid points about Starfield and its deficiencies. But what has caught the public's attention is that Bethesda, which, again, let's be honest here, is not known for their open lines of communication, has been responding to these critiques with some of the most reckless and disjunct responses imaginable. And to be clear, these odd and often condescending responses are not limited to just Starfield. I've read through the Steam reviews for games like Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Redfall, and I've got some theories on this phenomena, but that's a little later in this video. Again, I'm not going to read through all of these verbatim, but as someone that has logged 200 plus hours into Starfield, I think I have a pretty good handle on the issues at hand and can weed out the nonsense from the legit when it comes to solid feedback. For instance, here's one from a player with just shy of 60 hours on record. A derivative echo chamber of a game that exemplifies Bethesda's fall from grace. The RPG elements are dumbed down to a thin gruel. The characters are as emotive and convincing as cardboard cutouts. The quests are mere shells of narrative. The long, decrepit engine is an embarrassment compared to modern genre competitors. POIs are reused and recycled to a truly ludicrous degree, and even the main story beats are hollow and derivative. You get Space Dragon shouts, for heaven's sake. Gone are the open worlds and interesting en route encounters that made prior games so beloved, replaced with disconnected islands of shallow, recycled content punctuated by loading screen after loading screen. Every ounce of soul has been sacrificed to the altar of convenience and accessibility. Every atom of creativity fused to molecules of mediocre until all that remains is a shambling, empty echo of the past. Now, before checking out the Bethesda response, which is special, let me just say that this is the type of honest review you want, and I'm speaking as if I were a developer. It's not blowing smoke up your ass, it's just honest and said with feeling. Now, you don't have to agree with it, but you do need to accept it. So again, this is the kind of player you want because they're giving you a chance to make it right. Again, if they didn't give a damn, they wouldn't have posted at all or just trolled the reviews with some sort of babble. But this player is basically crying out, Starfield is not doing it for me, and these are the reasons why. The tone is depressing, but that's how this person feels about the product. And so, you would think that if Bethesda was truly going to respond to a comment like this, they would do so in a professional manner, and they would respond with humanity and feeling. But what we get is this PR-derived bullshit that is so tone-deaf and disconnected. I mean, here's just a sampling from Bethesda Falco Yamaoka. Quote, "If you feel that things are getting boring, There is so much more to do than just the main mission! Exclamation point. There are many side missions where you can learn about the people and story of Starfield. You can take time to explore various planets for resources and items, break the law by smuggling and selling contraband, build your own outposts and starships, and customize them to your enjoyment. The intention of Starfield's exploration is to evoke a feeling of smallness in players and make you feel overwhelmed. You can continue to explore and find worlds that do have resources you need or hidden outposts to look through. While there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for the expansive gameplay that is procedurally generated to load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. We believe that shortcoming will not hinder our players from getting lost in the world we created. Okay, my first question is, what the fuck is this? And probably my follow-up question would be, who the fuck writes like this? The review was expressing feelings towards the game, and Bethesda feels like it's best to respond like it's a PR tour? Just consider the amount of data for the expansive gameplay? That's the answer for players not liking loading screens? Again, I personally don't have to agree with the review comment, and neither does the studio, but what the fuck is this? Well, let me lay out my theory here for you. And by the way, you can find these kind of developer responses littering the comment and review sections of most Bethesda titles over on Steam. And it's clear that Bethesda has deployed some sort of brain-dead AI to search over these reviews and spout off prefab PR responses to legitimate player concerns, which, by the way, needs to stop effective immediately. Phil, Todd, Bethesda, whoever, you need to cancel your contract with whatever AI tech firm you hired to respond to these comments, because these corporate canned PR nonsense answers are 1,000,000% going to do more harm than good. Either don't respond at all and just keep working your butts off to improve on Starfield, to improve on Redfall or Fallout 76, or if you're going to respond at all, employ someone with a freaking brain and a heartbeat that can respond with some humanity and understanding. I can't stand this kind of installation of AI tone-deaf bullshit, especially when the responses to valid concerns are met with such indifference and isolation from the actual issues at hand. Sorry for the bit of the hot tone in this one, but damn, this kind of irresponsible behavior needs to be called out for what it is. Leave me any feedback about Starfield or Bethesda you'd like, and I'll do my best to respond. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, shares are greatly appreciated. All my socials can be found in the video description. Shout out to the over 181,000 of you that have stuck with me and hit subscribe. And a special thanks goes out to my Patreon supporters and to those of you firing over those much appreciated YouTube super chats. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.